Ladies and gentlemen, let's be brutally honest. What happened in Game 2 between the Las Vegas Aces and the Indiana Fever was supposed to be a showcase of elite basketball. Instead, it looked more like a sanctioned street fight. Lexie Hull, already battling a back injury from Game 1, was repeatedly shoved, hacked, and thrown to the floor as the Aces' physicality escalated unchecked. Officials called 41 fouls total, 16 of them in the third quarter alone. Yet A'ja Wilson, the supposed MVP, walked away praised for her stat line, while Hull and Aaliyah Boston played through what could only be described as punishment disguised as gameplay. Fans and analysts alike are asking, was this even basketball, or just a chaotic display of brute force with whistles bent in favor of the home team? Indiana didn't lose because of a lack of talent or strategy. They lost because every attempt to establish rhythm was broken by referees who seemed allergic to calling fouls against Vegas stars. And yet, amidst all the chaos, Indiana's young squad refused to buckle. Kelsey, Lexie Hull, and Aaliyah Boston kept fighting, demonstrating poise and resilience even when the game was clearly being tilted against them. This was not just a game, it was a test of endurance, courage, and fairness, and the WNBA may need to answer some uncomfortable questions about how it protects its players. Before the chaos of Game 2, Indiana made a statement in Las Vegas that shook the WNBA world. The Fever walked into the home court of the two-time defending champions and executed a masterclass in discipline and control, something rarely seen from such a young team. Kelsey lit up the scoreboard with a playoff career-high 34 points, attacking the rim, pulling defenders out, and hitting shots from every conceivable angle. The Aces, expecting a routine home victory, were forced into uncomfortable contested shots, with A'ja Wilson struggling to find rhythm, making only 6 of her 22 attempts. But what stood out was the Fever's composure. They never let the hostile crowd or the intense pressure dictate their pace. Instead, Indiana dictated the tempo, executed precise ball movement, and turned the game into a showcase of intelligence over brute strength. Their defense was surgical, forcing Las Vegas into tough shots without overcommitting and avoiding foul trouble themselves. The result? A 16-point blowout that not only stunned the Aces, but sent a clear message. Indiana was not just competitive, they were a team capable of taking the series into their own hands, even on the road. Game 1 was more than a win, it was a warning that the young Fever could not be bullied or underestimated. If Game 1 was basketball, Game 2 in Las Vegas was something else entirely. From the opening tip, the Aces abandoned finesse for raw, punishing physicality. Every drive to the basket saw elbows, bumps, and aggressive screens designed to throw Indiana off rhythm. The referees, instead of controlling the chaos, seemed to amplify it. 41 fouls were called overall, but the distribution appeared suspiciously one-sided. 16 fouls came in the third quarter alone, cutting Indiana's momentum into jagged, unplayable pieces. Lexie Hull, barely healed from a back injury sustained in Game 1, was repeatedly targeted, enduring contact that would have sidelined many others. Aaliyah Boston absorbed hits on every post-up, her rebounds often coming at the cost of her own body. The narrative from the national media focused almost entirely on A'ja Wilson's stat line. 25 points, 9 rebounds, 5 steals, yet few highlighted how those numbers were accumulated by physically overpowering opponents and benefiting from favorable officiating. Indiana wasn't outplayed, they were forced into survival mode, turning every possession into a battle of attrition. The question everyone should be asking is whether the league allowed, intentionally or not, a level of physicality that should have been off-limits for professional competition. If there's a symbol of Indiana's resilience, it's Lexie Hull. After injuring her back in Game 1, she was listed as a game-time decision for Game 2, a status that would sideline most players. But Hull refused to sit. She taped herself up, stepped onto the floor, and immediately became a target for Las Vegas's aggressive, often borderline illegal physicality. Yet despite repeated contact, bumps, and falls, she delivered one of the most remarkable performances of her young career, drilling 5 three-pointers and tying a Fever playoff record. Hull's effort was more than just points on a stat sheet. It was an act of defiance. a declaration that Indiana would not fold even under extreme pressure. Post-game, Hull candidly described the pain and treatment she endured to get ready for the game, highlighting the physical and mental demands the players faced. While the spotlight nationally celebrated Wilson's statistics, Hull's performance underscored the courage and tenacity often overlooked when stats are taken at face value. This was a display of grit that every fan and analyst should remember when assessing the series. True competitiveness isn't just measured in points, but in perseverance when the odds and the officiating appear stacked against you. Indiana thrives on pace, ball movement, and offensive flow. Yet in Game 2, Las Vegas made it their mission to obliterate that rhythm. Constant fouls and excessive physicality forced the Fever into disjointed half-court sets, far removed from their comfort zone of fast breaks and sharp passing. Every attempt at momentum was interrupted by whistles or body checks, making it nearly impossible for Indiana's stars to find timing or spacing. Kelsey Mitchell, normally the engine of their offense, was smothered by double teams and relentless pressure. Her opportunities funneled into crowded lanes, where her usual creativity was neutralized. Aaliyah Boston, trying to secure rebounds and maintain interior presence, faced continuous hits and shoves, turning routine possessions into battles for survival. Even Odyssey Sims, forced to dribble through double teams and repeated hacks at her arms, converted broken plays into points, showcasing both skill and resilience. The narrative was clear. This was not basketball, as fans expect, but a forced chaotic wrestling match that undermined Indiana's style. Yet despite the disruption, the Fever never folded, demonstrating mental toughness and a commitment to play through adversity that went far beyond what the box score could reveal. In Game 1, Kelsey Mitchell was unstoppable, scoring 34 points and dictating the pace for Indiana. But in Game 2, the Las Vegas Aces came prepared with a single-minded plan: contain Mitchell at all costs. From the opening tip, they applied intense physicality, doubled her on every cut, face-guarded her even without the ball, and funneled her passes into crowded lanes. Every drive she attempted was met with contact designed to bruise, frustrate, and disrupt timing. The result, Mitchell's scoring dropped to 13 points, a dramatic decrease that highlighted the effectiveness of Las Vegas's tactical adjustment. Yet it wasn't just about raw defense, it was about forcing the Fever out of rhythm. Indiana's offensive flow, previously centered around Mitchell's versatility and shot-making, was completely disrupted. By isolating her and applying constant pressure, the Aces made it clear that tactical planning in the WNBA goes beyond X's and O's. It includes psychological and physical warfare, pushing opponents to the edge while exploiting referee inconsistency. Mitchell's containment demonstrated the challenge of facing a team willing to bend the rules to maintain control of the game. Version 9. Start HTML 0. By turning the game into a foul-heavy, physical contest, they disrupted Indiana's flow while racking up free throws that kept them in control. Mismatches were deliberately created, pulling Aaliyah Boston out of position to open lanes for Asia Wilson and Jackie Young, while fouls that should have gone against Las Vegas were often ignored. This approach allowed the Aces to dominate the tempo, despite Indiana's talent and poise. Observers noticed a troubling pattern. Every surge Indiana attempted was curtailed, while Vegas repeatedly received favorable calls, especially for their star players. Even Becky Hammond, Las Vegas's own coach, admitted afterward that the game's physicality was excessive. Yet the combination of calculated aggression and officiating tilt allowed the Aces to walk away with a win, leaving fans and analysts debating whether skill or chaos dictated the outcome. Indiana wasn't simply outplayed. They were forced into an uneven contest, shaped more by manipulation of rules than by basketball execution. With the series now shifting to Indianapolis, the dynamic changes entirely. Gainbridge Fieldhouse will not only provide familiarity, but also a deafening atmosphere of 17,000 fans, ready to amplify every bucket, every stop, and every defensive effort. Unlike in Las Vegas, where whistle decisions often favored the home team, Indiana's crowd will act as a constant check on officiating, ensuring that every foul, shove, or questionable call is met with immediate reaction. Players like Kelsey, Lexie Hull, and Aaliyah Boston will feed off this energy, turning the bruises and frustration from Las Vegas into fuel for a comeback. Home court advantage in this series is more than just a location, it's a weapon. The Fever have already demonstrated the ability to dismantle the Aces on the road in Game 1, and now they get to do it with an amplified support system. This could be the decisive factor, shifting momentum and pressure back onto Las Vegas, who will now face both the Fever's skill and the relentless scrutiny of a live, vocal crowd. The stage is set for Indiana to reclaim control, transforming adversity into advantage.